Hello, everybody, and the no zone. Oh, here we go again.
We're not there yet, honey.
Show. Captain Max Steel is also known as Max 21D. Intuitive healer, Akashic Records.
Max, make sure you mute the show. Max.
Elsewhere in the universe. Max 21D of the Wolf Spirit Radio. Raising the vibrations and healing this great planet.
Max, you got to mute the radio.
Why?
We're on the air.
Why is the music going on?
Because you have it on the Wolf Spirit Radio.
What? Hold on. Hold on. What's going on? Hold on.
Yeah, we're on the air already.
Oh, all right, hold on. That's
listening to Wolf Spirit Radio.
Okay. I made the mistake, folks. I just want to say I love Wolf Spirit Radio. I truly do. Now, let me see if I can get out and go where I belong. Okay. Thank you, everyone, for being on the Captain Max Steel Show. We have a great man coming on the air tonight. I call him the meter man because he knows everything that's got to do with the smart meters that we have in our homes. But before I get him to come on the air, I want to say thank you and very much to my executive director, producer, Russ. He's doing a great job, and I honor you, sir, for doing a good job. I want to say hello to my wife. Thank you, honey, so very much for being here every night with me. Every Wednesday. And I do love you very much, honey. Honey?
I love you too.
Okay. Okay. And I love you too, Vanessa. She's my moderator. She keeps me in touch with the reality and not to say any bad words. So I'm going to try and limit that at all times. And the other thing I want to say, thank you to everyone in the United Kingdom, Eastern Europe, Russia, Das Vidanya, and China and Japan, New Zealand, Australia, South America, let's just say the whole world that listens to Max Steel Show. I always try to bring the truth to you. To help me God, I'm going to call this show the Max Steel Show, the Freedom of Speech Network. And I want you to say also too, so you can understand this, that this is a listener-supported station. Please donate, and that'll keep us coming back and bringing you all kinds of great shows and everything. Pretty soon I'm going to bring somebody until I verify a few things. Make sure everything's okay, because I like the truth. I don't like, I want things to be right. It's about a man that's claimed that he has discovered 24 giant bodies in his land in Asheville, North Carolina. We'll get to him probably in a couple of weeks. I have to have a few things checked out first for it, because I want the truth. Nothing but the truth. All right, my friend, the smart meter man that I have here tonight, he happens to have all kinds of, he sent me a whole bunch of documents. I couldn't read all of them because they were long. And I do it the best way I can with this show tonight. He's a person that goes to homes and checks on the reading of the smart meters. Man, I tell you what, if you're feeling tired at home and you feel like you're sick or you're tired, your bones ache, it's a smart meter doing that. He will tell you exactly what you need to do when all this, when he comes here. Okay, Joe Exposito, come on the air and tell us something about yourself, and then we can get on with the everything that we need to know for the smart meters.
Okay, Max, good evening. Good evening to your audience out there, and thank you for this opportunity to share this information. I appreciate y'all.
Okay. Well, all right. Go ahead and come on in and just
Okay. That's fine.
Tell us how you got started and what made you do the things that you're doing to help, because you're really helping humanity.
Correct. You're absolutely correct.
And I want you to go ahead and talk. Go ahead.
Okay. Thank you. I'll tell them. I live in Wsol, Oklahoma. It's north of Tulsa, Oklahoma, and we lived there 24 years. We've been married 43 years, and unfortunately, my wife just passed away about a month ago.
I'm sorry for your loss.
And I appreciate that, but I believe it was because of the radiation. When you start to understand what's happening here, but back in it was November, around the first of the year of 2012. AEP PSO, that's an American Electrical Power Public Service Company of Oklahoma. That's the utility, the electrical utility here. Decided to make a Wsol the pilot for their smart meters, and the smart meters have some real problems. They're death traps, and I didn't know what they were doing at first because I wasn't familiar with wireless, even though I was in the Marines in 1970, so early 70s. I was a 5951 MOS, and that is a radar technician for what they called the TPN-8. It was a precision approach radar that sat at the end of the runway and guided airplanes in for landing. And I worked on that thing, and I didn't realize that my health was being damaged as bad as it was till later. But anyhow, I got married, and we had a daughter, and life was going on, and we lived in Tulsa for 24 years, and we moved to Wsol, which is a smaller bedroom community north of Tulsa. And it was good. We had a 7,000 square foot garden. We raised 3 steers every year. We had honeybees. We had all those kind of things people like to enjoy. And then the electrical utility came in and said that we were going to be the pilot. And so I called them and I said, I really don't want to be part of your pilot, because they were wanting the city of Wsol, and I was in Tulsa County, which is not in the city limits. And the guy said, well, you really need all these things because your wife may need to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning to do the laundry. And I said, you tell her that. I'm not going to tell her that. That's crazy. People have to sleep. That's why they go to bed, to get their health and, their sleep. So I come home one night, and there was a smart meter on the house. They left a little tag on the door and said they installed it. And I told them I didn't want it, but I still got it. So about 6 or 7 months later, I didn't know what to do back then. Remember, this was in 2012. And so I watched the video November the 7th. I just remember it like crystal, November the 7th, 2012. There was a guy named Dietrich Klinghardt. He's on YouTube. You can look it up. I suggest you do. It was called The Health Crisis of Our Time, Smart Meters and EMRs. And I watched that. It's like 43 minutes. And I got so mad, and I was so shocked, because for the first time, I really learned what smart meters were all about. He's an MD. He's a great guy. And so that's what launched me off into like 6 or 7 years now of fighting these things, because they're nothing but death to everybody and every living thing. And so I went to the Oklahoma State Legislature in January the 8th, 2013. And that first night that I listened to Dr. Klinghardt, for the next 3 nights, the 3 days and nights, I was on the internet. I was just glued to it, because I was learning about what was happening to us. And so I learned how deadly they were. And then I went to the Oklahoma State Legislature, and brought some documents, and I handed them out to every state legislator. And the things I said back in January the 8th, 2013, nothing's changed. So now, the only thing that's changed is the science has caught up and is exposing the lies of the telecommunications company and wireless companies. The documents that Max has, Max, I don't know if you can do it, but you could, since you've got that documents, you can email them out to people maybe that want them. There's 4 documents that are very, very crucial. I spent, I can't tell you the hours. I was PSO, the Oklahoma Corporation Commission had these rate cases. And so I got a lawyer, and we would go, and I'd be an intervener. And some of our paperwork got messed up, so I really couldn't be a very good intervener, but I was there monitoring. And so we were trying to expose what the utilities were doing. And we filed just thousands of pages of documents trying to show what was happening. But what they do is they just ignore you. And so we were trying to make headway there with all that. And, I kept learning. And I come to learn that you have to have a meter to read this stuff. You can't know that it's even there unless you have some kind of device, a meter device that will show you what it is. And I have a radiation detection meter called an HFE 35C. That's like H for Henry, F for Frank, and C for Charlie. HFE. HFE would be more like a lane or something for E. And 35C, cat. That meter, you can buy them at Safe Living Technologies in Canada for about $743. They have 2 antennas on them, 2 different antennas you can use. But unless you have a good quality meter like that one, you can't tell what's really happening. So once I got that meter, I was able to understand and see the unseen world of wireless, see, and how bad it is and where it is and all those kind of things. And so that's how I got started. I learned from Dietrich Klinghardt, and we were having health issues, my family, back then. Bloody noses, there's symptoms you have from wireless. Most people don't even understand it, but from all this. And so it was very eye-opening to see for the first time what was really happening to us, because once you get a meter, it can't hide it anymore. You can actually, you can't hear, feel, touch, see this stuff unless you're so sensitive like me now. I'm really pretty damaged from all this. And so I encourage you, if you could, get Max's documents. And I sent 4 of them to him. And these 4 documents are the last ones I came up with and worked on just before my wife got sick, like in December this last year. And so let me tell you about the first document that's very important that everybody needs to see. And Max, can I tell him my YouTube channel? Would that be okay? So let me tell you, huh?
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you. If you go to YouTube, you have to go to their channel because you can't Google it. Google won't let you find me. I wonder why. But you can go to YouTube, and you go to their search engine on YouTube, and you punch in Joe Exposito. That's JoeEsposito, Smart Meters Owasso, OWASSO, okay? So that's Joe Exposito, Smart Meters Owasso. And what that will pull up is my channel. And there's 27 YouTubes that will educate you on what's going on out there, because we spend a lot of time trying to help people understand this. And so there's one YouTube up right now that I think it's pushing like 78,000. That's Randy Love's YouTube in Rose. They came and took his meter off and threw it on the ground, and he had no electricity for over a year. So if you can get to that channel, the first document that you're going to find at the top will be this Anthony B. Miller's document. And this is the first one that Max got. And when I was on the Corporation Commission, I learned how their system, how to get in and, you know, work things with it. So I created this little document. You'll see when you pull it up, it's there. All it is like 3 or 4 pages, and you pull it up and you can read it. But I got in, and this was actually a rate case for the Public Service Company of Oklahoma, November 13th. And you'll see on the right-hand corner that it's a filed document. So I created this document, and I went and they filed it. The young man filed it. So this is a, you know, Oklahoma Corporation Commission filed document. And it talks about this cancer expert. His name is Anthony B. Miller, MD. And it says, cancer expert declares cell phone and wireless radiation as carcinogenic to humans. Now, this was 18 August of 17, last year. But he was a longtime World Health organizer and advisor, and he updating everybody about the wireless exposure to cancer and the new scientific evidence now that shows that. And that's what I'm telling you, that for years, you know, we've been working on trying to expose what's happening here, but they keep getting more and more information. So let me read to you what he says here. It's about 3 pages long. It says, I'll just read you a little short paragraph here. An expert cancer researcher and advisor to the World Health Organization International Agency for Research on Cancer has issued his scientific opinion that radio frequency, RF, or microwave radiation, from any source, okay? Any source. So that's what? That's deck phones, Wi-Fi, you know, smart meters. There's just, you know, I can tell you hundreds of devices that are putting out wireless, okay? So it says his opinion that radiation from any source, such as the signals emitted by cell phones, other wireless and cordless and sensor devices and wireless networks, meets full criteria to be classified as a Group 1 carcinogen to humans. That's the highest you can have, grouping. And so it's a Group 1 carcinogen to humans agent based on scientific evidence associated with RF exposure to cancer development and cancer promotion. So he goes on, he says the evidence indicating wireless is carcinogenic has increased and can no longer be ignored, said Dr. Anthony B. Miller. He was lecturing at Jackson Hole, Wyoming. It was sponsored by the Environmental Health Trust, and other international experts were there. And, you know, back in 2011, see, he was working with a group, and they published back then that radio frequency was a possible Class 2B carcinogen. Well, it's changed now. It's got to be reclassified, okay? It's got to be a Group 1. But see, he's been trying to get that done, but he's getting large amount of resistance from all that. And so he goes on, and he's talking about all these different studies on the second page, second paragraph. And you can read this on my YouTube. You can read this document. And he's talking about these different studies. Well, this is very interesting. On the last sentence of that second paragraph on the second page was the 2016 results of the National Toxicology Program. I know you don't know what that is, so I'll tell you. It was a 25 million, 16-year study of the United States government that looked at 900 megahertz, which is the frequency of cell phones and smart meters, and it causes cancer. Now, Mr. Miller, Dr. Miller, he's an MD. He has a whole armload of credentials. He's an epidemiologist. He's a cancer researcher, and it just goes on and on and on. So we're not talking about your local utility person down here talking about the effects. This is one of the premier people in the world that knows about what's happening here, and so it's very, very crucial to understand this, because the majority of the people in the world don't have a clue what's happening to us, because they haven't researched it, they haven't studied it, and then they have no meter to even know that it's out there. And so that's very important to understand. Okay, so that's the first document that I sent over to Max. The next document, there's 4, came out September the 20th, 2017. It's a letter from Martin L. Paul. He's a professor emeritus in Washington State, biochemistry and basic medical services. This guy is a world-renowned speaker on wireless and the impacts it has on our bodies. He wrote a letter to Jerry Brown back in September 20th, 2017, to veto 5G in California. It was SB 649. And he did the governor did veto it. We can't say, it was because of Martin Paul. But Martin Paul, he speaks about wireless impacts in the electrical systems in our bodies. So what he discovered, and because the wireless industry said, well, there's no common mechanism for all this damage, and all that. So Martin Paul found it. And what it is it's the voltage gate channels in our cells. There's like little like floodgates, right? And dams. It lets, water go out or come in or whatever they want to do. And what the impact that it has is the calcium channels. And so it just takes a very small amount to move those cell gates. Well, the wireless is 7.2 million times greater force. So it's messing up our cells and our voltage-gated calcium channels. And that's what's causing the havoc in our biological system and making us sick. And there's a whole list of sicknesses we'll get to here in a minute. But he's telling you that the physics and the the biology are both pointing to this voltage-gated calcium channels is what's causing the problems. And so, there's been thousands and thousands of these published science documents that, the industry just kind of ignores. If you look at the industry science and the non-industry science, they're both opposite. Non-industry is telling you it's all dangerous, and the industry is saying, well, we don't know yet. Just like tobacco, they're playing the same game they did with tobacco. And so he goes on. This is a scientist, and he's telling you that 20 years plus of industry propaganda claims are false. He's telling you that because the biology and the physics are both pointing to exactly the same cause, the voltage-gated calcium channels. So he's saying that the industry has no scientific support whatsoever for what they're doing. So it's very important to understand that, like, say, he points out on the second page that in 1971, the Navy Military Research Project report came out where there were like 2,500 studies done, and there's 5 pages of health symptoms. Well, see, that's the reason there's a diversity of health symptoms, because it affects everybody differently because of depending on how strong their health is, or if they're having any problems with all this. So they're showing you. Let me just read some of the things that they found. Various neurological effects, changes in brain structure, functions, changes in behavior, 8 different endocrine hormonal effects, cardiac effects, electrical control of the heart, changes in ECGs, arrhythmias. These all could be life-threatening. Chromosome breaks, and histological changes to the testes, cell death, lower male fertility, oxidative stress, cancer, tumor promotion, cataracts, breakdown in the blood-brain barrier, melatonin depletion, sleep disruption. He says we should be moving towards wired, this is on the third page, wired technologies, not wireless. So then he goes on, this is kind of a distressful, right here in about middle of the third page, it says, it is thought that an increase in mutation frequency of 2.5 to 3-fold will lead to extinction because of accumulation of large amounts of damaging mutations. And he's talking about us. We're going to be extinct. He goes on, he says, we may already be over this level, and if so, simply continuing our current exposure will lead to eventual extinction. That's us. This stuff is killing us, all right? And so the pulsed radiation is more dangerous to biological life than the non-pulsed. And like the non-pulsed is like your microwave oven, but the pulse is what's carrying the information on it. So he's really upset with the industry because they're false claims. And so in this letter, he is talking about 5G, but you see, and the 5G has higher frequencies and higher pulses because it can move more information. And that makes him much, much more dangerous. Okay. Now, at the bottom of page 3, there's the last 2 sentences of that page read like this. None, okay, you know the word none, that means not any, of our wireless communication devices are ever tested biologically for safety, nor cell phone towers, not cell phones, not Wi-Fi, not cordless phones, not smart meters, okay? And certainly not 5G phones or radar units in cars, because they are put, when they're put out, to the unsuspecting public. And so he's talking about how corrupt the FCC, that's the Federal Communications. And then he goes on and says, we now know that the EM works in the body and that the industry propaganda has no science behind it. And that's true. And what we're finding out. So he's saying, now we're talking about 5G, okay? So, I mean, it's bad enough what's going on out there because he's already talking about we may have gone too far. So now we're moving to 5G. This has not been tested. Now listen to what 5G is going to do to us. It's millimeter, and it's very, very powerful. Okay, and there's going to be lots of towers out there. All it is like a telephone pole with some equipment on it, and they're going to be every 300 feet, everywhere.
Joe,
Okay.
Before we get into the technology, Vanessa had a question here. Do the microwave ovens we have carry the same risks?
Absolutely, they do.
Can you
Most people don't know about microwave ovens, and if you'll watch my YouTubes, that's 2.4 gigahertz. That's one of the frequencies on smart meters. Smart meters are 900 megahertz and 2.4 gigahertz, and those are Zigbees. And so, like microwave ovens, with my meter, you can watch some of my YouTubes, and you can walk maybe 50, 100, 200, 300 feet away from a microwave in a house, and you can see me do that. I'll be in a house. We'll turn on the microwave, put a little cup of water in there so it doesn't catch fire from the, nothing being in it. And I'll open the back door of a house, and I'll start walking out the back door. And I'll keep walking, and I can still read the radiation from that microwave. And it's amazing how far away. And so when people are using their microwaves, they're cooking their whole family. And you can walk around, say like if the microwave was in a kitchen that had rooms behind it, you could walk, there's a hallway, you could walk behind it. You can walk around 306 degrees around a microwave, and it's going right through the walls and everything into the other rooms. People don't understand how bad this is. And then when the meter...
How about the food? Doesn't that get inside the food?
Yeah, you're ruining the food too. Yeah, you're ruining the nutrition in the food. You're changing it.
The radiation getting in the food that you eat?
Well, I don't know if it's getting in. It's just destroying the way it heats. It heats from the inside out, is my understanding.
Okay.
And so the microwaves are a true problem, because we've had them. Before they put the microwave ovens, it was called a radar range. Radar range, and people wouldn't buy them, so that's why they had to change the name. Radar is just very dangerous, which would even bring you to an airport. What do airports have? They have radar. Remember, I ran a radar unit. Okay, and so radars, like on my meter, if you get one of the meters like I have, there's a certain signature on the meter. You can hear it. It's a sound. Like if a